the Rector, Reverend Dr. J. Anthony Robinson, S.J., the Secretary and Correspondent, Reverend Dr. D. Thomas Alexander, S.J., who I must say has a fine singing voice, because I heard him to the Tamil Thai brilliant voice. The Reverend Dr. A. Louis Arokiraj, the Principal, Reverend Dr. A. Louis Albert, S.J., the Alumni Association Director, the President of the Alumni Chapter for Chennai, my Raman Sabanagan, the Secretary, Mr. Ilango Raphael, the distinguished speakers who I am privileged to share the stage with today, Mr. Sujith Kumar and Mr. Mohan, Raman, the many office bearers of the Chennai Alumni Chapter, the members, the faculty, I hope some students, members of the greater Loyola community. Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this event and having me here. I must start by saying this is at least the second time I've been in this beautiful hall, amazing architecture, and it has left me with a sense of peace and calm, but also the understanding of the kind of effort that has gone into creating these kinds of institutions. I've had occasion to mention this many times before, but the Christian missionaries in general, the Jesuits in particular, over the centuries, have contributed immensely to the development of our state, our people, primarily in the fields of education and health, but also through the fact that their approach to education has been universal and not narrowly focused on one community. They have created communal harmony by educating the children of all communities in these institutions of excellence. Institutions such as Loyola contribute to society. They set the benchmark because excellence creates its own culture, its own continuity, its own following, and it sets the bar for other institutions that follow. And in that sense, I think there is no more distinguished, at least in the field of arts and science, institution in Chennai. As alumni, many of us have always warm feelings towards our alma mater, and in this case, the chapter is a way of bringing together those feelings in a way that increases the camaraderie between all of you, but also increases the impact on the institution, on future generations of students. I was happy to note the many initiatives outlined by the President, both in terms of alumni-centric as well as helping the institution, the new incubator, and through internships, externships, and so forth. We're running a bit behind on time, so I'll try and speak as quickly as possible. I also have to be somewhere else, and I want to listen to my fellow speakers. But I'll probably expand on only 3 or 4 points. One is that we live in an age of great volatility. For most of us who study history or who had careers in the global economy, there was pretty much a secular development from the end of the Second World War till recent times. It was increasing universalization of global trade, of the economy, a dollar-based World Bank, IMF, WTO, UN, GATT, GAR regime, where in effect the US set the tone for the global benchmarks. But in reality, we were all kind of playing to a script that was maybe great for us, maybe not, but it was hyper-globalization. That started to fall apart probably, in my opinion, around the turn of the century, the first wave of the internet. Certainly the global financial crisis was another rupture. COVID was a third major rupture. And the current regime in the United States, with its desire to do muscular nationalism and disruption of free trade through the imposition of tariffs, has created probably the final rupture. So we are definitely in a new era. It is an era of transactional kind of relationships. It is going to be increasingly through bilateral, through multilateral, regional cooperation. Every day the world feels a bit different. I was asked to give a speech at the Rotary Conference in the Chennai World Trade Center on the 1st of March. Due to various events, I could not prepare my speech before. And it turned out to be a great thing, because had I prepared it before the 28th of February, the title was Towards a New World Order. It would have been irrelevant on the 1st of March, because overnight the bombing of Iran had taken place and we're in a different world order than we were on February 27th or 28th. But it is an ill wind that blows nobody any good. I think that the old adage when I used to be a trader on Wall Street was that volatility is your friend as long as your floor is set. That is, as long as you're insured against worst case outcomes, then volatility is actually your friend, because it creates opportunity and it creates it at a scale and a pace that the normal kind of progress doesn't. There's an old adage about there are years in which nothing happens, and then there are weeks in which years of developments happen. We happen to be living in one of those times. In this world order, there is going to be a huge premium on innovation. Established patterns are already being broken, and because partially there is a huge glut of liquidity searching for opportunity, this coming of the age of AI is being financed and driven at a pace that the previous ones were not. And so every day literally we are seeing new frontiers broken, at least on the cutting edge of what is capable, though it comes at huge cost in terms of capital, in terms of servers, in terms of energy, in terms of water, but the frontiers are being advanced every day. And in this era of disruption, some of the old things are back to being in vogue. In particular, I want to say that, as somebody mentioned, our startup count has gone inversely proportional to the decline in traditional jobs. If you look at the IT service majors, they used to employ tens of thousands of new graduates a year. In the last couple of years, that is almost flat. But in Tamil Nadu alone, we've gone from somewhere around 2,000 startups to somewhere around 13,000 plus. A part of that is necessity. It is that the jobs don't exist. Part of it is government support. We create incubators, we create funding channels, we create mentors, we create all kinds of support mechanisms. But part of it, I think, is that in the age when technology was the kind of backbone of everything, from your car to your fridge to manufacturing processes, all of it was driven by information technology underneath. The role of the programmer and the developer was supreme. What AI has done is that it has actually broken this model and democratized development, because now you can get AI to write programs for you if you have clear enough intent. And so it is not only changing the field of employment, it is changing dramatically the field of entrepreneurship, and it is changing, starting from colleges down, the nature of education and curricula. I recently had the opportunity to take my son on a college tour to one of the institutions I studied at, MIT, which is considered one of the premier technology institutions of the world. And in the introductory tour, the young girl, undergraduate who was running the tour, pointed out that in the curriculum of MIT today, if you come for any degree, it could be nuclear engineering, it could be astrophysics, it could be, computer chip design. Whatever your major is, in the first year, you will need to take 5 courses in the humanities as a prerequisite to getting any degree. I am so happy about that because I think the nature of education had become so trained on getting employment and skills that we had lost the original intent of education, which was to create better human beings, to create erudite, thoughtful, compassionate, learned people. And that is getting more and more relevant. If the machine can program itself, what we need are people who understand the human condition better and who are able to be compassionate and cross-cultural and cross-disciplinary. In that sense, I think institutions such as Loyola, your role has always been impactful, but it is going to get even more so as we step away from highly focused and narrow skills to broader notions of development, of humanity, of multidisciplinary connect. It is also important, I think, to consider when and how people get involved in alumni associations. My cousin just pointed out that he was an unlikely candidate to be the president of the association. I have my own story to tell. Last year I was the chief guest at the Founders Day Trooping the Color military parade at my alma mater, the Lawrence School, Lovedale. It's 168th Founders Day. It's very rare for them to invite civilians. It's usually military alumni. And so I asked the same question, why me? And they gave me some answer. And then I felt compelled to confess that actually I had not been the kind of student they wanted to platform and highlight when I had been at the school. And the answer came back, actually our young people are so sophisticated now that if you try to present to them some picture of perfection, they're not interested. They want to see reality and they want to see people who are out of type. And so maybe people like Karthik and I were different then and different now, because when I had a chance to speak, I pointed out, I said that, for all those who had leadership roles in the parade today, in the prize giving, in the hall, I congratulate you. I wish you all great continued success. I'm happy that your talent has been discovered and that you have become really recognized. But I want to speak to the people in the back of the hall. I want to speak to the people outside the hall, because I used to be one of you. And what me standing here tells you is that time changes everything. Nobody can predict ahead of time who's going to end up doing what. Sometimes we're average students, sometimes we're good students. Take your own path, let your internal light guide you, and everything works out for the best. In that sense, I think most alumni, by the time they come into this active role, have already achieved a lot in life. And as I've said many times, the true measure of success is when you're ready to think about others, when you're ready to put back, whether it's your old school, your community, in some way. I only came back to public life after the age of 50, after I felt I had achieved enough individually. So most of you are very distinguished. Loyola was a great institution. Among your ranks, you have former union ministers, former DGPs, chairman of educational institutions, actors, businessmen, in every field, former Reserve Bank governors. And so collectively, you are a very well-connected, well-informed, and well-networked group. That is important in today's world. As we see government-to-government relationships fray, as we start to see multilateral institutions impact and sway, decline, we're going to have to find side doors and back doors and closed doors open through windows. And these kinds of relationships, particularly the global alumni that Loyola has, will be of great impact in building not just business and educational connections, but in fact country to country and community to community relations. So in this age of volatility and opportunity, in this age of innovation and artificial intelligence, in this age of a return to humanity and relationships, I'm glad that this alumni chapter is taking the initiative to accelerate its impact on this prestigious and long-standing institution. I was happy to be a part of the centenary celebrations a few years ago. I'm happy to be here at this juncture when there is new leadership in the largest chapter of the Alumni Association, which is Chennai. I thank you once again for inviting me to be part of your association. I feel like through association with you, I feel like an honorary member of your Alumni Association. And I wish you all continued success. I wish this institution continued impact on our society, and I look forward to hearing from my fellow speakers this evening. Thank you very much.